Hello, my name is Barrett Seaman. I'm here with IndyTalks, the monthly interview show produced by the Hudson Independent, the most trusted local news source in the river towns. My guest today needs no introduction in the river towns, but may to some of you who are outside. Gina Maher, who is the girls basketball coach at Irvington High School. She has been the coach for 43 years now. Her name is inscribed on the floor of the gymnasium at the school. Earlier this season, you won your 700th game.
I did, longevity.
And you're still winning as of the night before last was the last victory.
As my team would say, knock on wood.
The team is routinely in the sectional playoffs and occasionally, more than occasionally, in the state championships, correct?
Correct. We've been very, very fortunate. We've had some varied group of girls who work very, very hard and are committed to what we believe in our program.
How many times have you been in the finals or won the state?
We won states 5 times. We've been in the finals about 8 times.
That's more than just fortunate.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it is. I've been very blessed with a fantastic group of young women that have touched my life.
I mean, I could ask you, how do you do it, which is sort of the opening question, but you could come back with a smart aleck answer like I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Right. You know, I think it's something that has evolved. I think it's something, I love the game. My high school coach had a huge influence on my life, and not about, you know, X's and O's or anything like that, but a huge influence on the proper thing to do, the right thing to do, how you face adversity and you get through it. And I think sports is a way of learning how to handle that. And she taught me also to love the game, and my college coach continued that. And I was fortunate enough to get into coaching right away soon after I graduated from college.
Now, is it true that you once scored 100 points in a college
What, did Joey Dumas tell you that? No, that is not true.
Not true.
That is not true at all. No, I scored some points, but that is not true at all.
But you played at a pretty high level at Marymount.
I did. You know, and interesting. I played in the Catholic High School League during my high school career, which is in New York City, and it was a very, very competitive league. And I think that's really where I learned how to play the most and learned how to play team ball. I started out playing three people on one side of the court and 3 people on the other side of the court.
I was going to ask you about the change of rules. That's what I remember.
It was a lot. You didn't have to be in as good shape when I first started to play. And then it was, you know, 3 offensive players, 3 defensive players on each side, and the ball would start at half court. And I think they didn't believe that women could run the full court. We could have babies, but we couldn't run the full court. Exactly. But and then it evolved, and then there was a rover, and I actually played rover. 1 person could go. I never actually coached that. By the time I got into coaching in the last year of college, it had evolved into 5-man.
Full. Have the rules changed much at all since then?
Yes, they have. In the beginning, there was no 3-point play. There was no clock. You have a 30-second clock now. The rules have changed that much, but other than that, the court's the same size, the basket's the same size, and the points are the same. So it's pretty much, and the time has stayed the same also. It's still 8-minute quarters and 32-minute halves, games rather.
If I were to ask one of your opponent coaches to describe the Irvington style of play, what would they tell me, or what should they tell me?
Hopefully they will tell you that we play team ball. I think that, and unselfishly. We play very, very hard. We pride ourselves on our defense. But I think the thing that we really stress the most is team ball. And I know that sounds like something that people would say all the time, oh, team, but we really, really do. And I think it's been successful, and I think the girls realize that. And I think other teams look and say, well, we can't just look at one girl, we have to look at the whole team, because if one girl doesn't do it, somebody else will pick it up.
Right. The phrase "move the balls" is associated with you and your style of coaching. Is that's something that you stress?
Yes, very much so. And again, that has to do with playing team ball. You can't, just stand and do nothing. Tap. We play a little bit of an up-tempo game. We move the ball, which means the players have to move. They have to share the ball with everybody else on the team. And I think that gets everybody involved and not having just 1 or 2 people dictating what goes on the court.
But you wouldn't call that run and gun, is that?
No, I don't run and gun. I do run and gun. I shouldn't say that. We love to fast break. That's called transition, and we love to play transition basketball. But we don't run and gun. If it's not there, we pull it out, and we have offenses that we run, and they're continuity offenses, so that if the first option isn't there, something else will come up, and the girls will see it. But again, the tempo, we do play up tempo, or hope to.
And on defense, do you mix it up with different things?
We do mix it up, and
do a lot of
and
pressing, don't you?
we do a lot of pressing. We play some man-to-man, and we play some zone. We play some matchup. But I always tell, and the girls believe this, that it's, you know, offense sells tickets, but defense wins games. And I really do believe that this year our defense has been really good, and I believe that's why we've been so successful. And I do honestly believe that offense evolves from good defense, and there's no way you can win by, if each team scores 100 points, that means there's no defense being played at all. Right.
That would be quite a game.
It would be quite a game. Exactly.
Yeah. But that would require pretty good conditioning, right? I mean,
that's huge.
So what do you do to get your girls in shape?
That's a great question. That's another thing that we work especially preseason and before games start with scrimmages, we work very, very hard on conditioning, and I think it's key to our success. We continue that throughout the whole season. They do some pre-conditioning in the weight room with, actually one of the phys ed teachers helped us out this year, but we do a lot of running in practices. Some running is just out and out running and sprints and things, but we also have a lot of drills that we do that involve a lot of running and obviously a lot of conditioning that way. As the season goes on, there isn't quite as much running during practice, but now we had some time off in between games. Today we don't have a game for 2 days, we'll do a lot of running today. Yesterday was the day after a game, so we didn't do quite as much running. So, but we do, conditioning's huge.
Right. And the day before the game will be a little lighter.
Exactly, much lighter.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Sort of getting ready for, you know, it's like running, it's like a track, getting ready for a marathon or a big race.
What's a particular drill that the girls hate?
They hate the 8-minute drill.
What goes on the 8-minute drill?
The 8-minute drill is 4 segments of 2-minute drills that they go for 8 minutes. Some of it involves defensive stance and defensive movements. Some of it involves dribbling the ball. Some of it involves running with the ball. And at the very, very end, it's just running and backpedaling and going out really strong and again, it's 2 minutes each time. They do it with the JV, which is great. Right. And they help each other. They help each other get through it. At the beginning of the season, it's very hard to do, but I take out cones because there are certain cones they have to touch during the drill. And when they see the cones on the court, they're like, "Oh, cones! We're going to have to." Yeah, the cone. Exactly, right. But I think if you ask the girls, they would say that's the hardest.
Right.
Right.
In the course of a game, how involved are you? I mean, obviously you're involved, but for example, in this last game, you were having some trouble in the first part of the game, right? You were
in the middle part. Yeah, we had a lot of trouble. We got into foul trouble. Right. So we got into foul trouble. So adjustments have to be made. I had one girl that has an injury, so she was not at 100%. And so yeah, it becomes. And again, that's why it's a team game. Girls came off the bench and they kept us in the game, and they because of them we didn't fall behind. We struggled, but we struggled again when the regular starters came in too. But this particular team is very strong and very gritty, and they find a way. And that's what I said to them after the game. You found a way. They find a way to win. We've had probably 4 or 5 really close games. One went into overtime. Right. 2-point game, 3-point game. Sectionals was a 3-point game with Briarcliff. It's a really, really fabulously strong team with great talent. And these girls just find a way to keep going. So I do get involved. Right. And I'm sure the girls will tell you I do.
But in the course of a game, other than in between periods where you're going to make some adjustments or timeouts, but when you see that a defense isn't working, for example, a zone is just not doing it, how do you communicate that to them? Especially in the first half, because in the first half the defense is always in front of the bench, and we have a big thing about communicating. And the girls, I'll just keep saying to them, you've got to talk more. You've got to talk more. You've got to communicate with each other and rebound and communicating and rebound. And I do. I will yell out things. I will yell out a play that we might want to run that we haven't run before, or I'll say to them, continue the offense, complete the offense. But yeah, I am verbal. Yes. I'm sure from time to time, I have three daughters, so I know what teenage girls can be like. It can be complicated. But in the course of a game, or just overall in the course of a season, how do you get the most out of it? How do you deal with a player who's not producing, either in a small moment or over a period of time?
Well, I think number one, you have to be honest with them, and I think that I yell sometimes, but I always tell the girls, when I stop yelling or correcting you means I don't care. I think you have to be positive, and hopefully I do that. They are teenagers. They are really in school primarily to learn and to study. but sometimes they get down on themselves. Sometimes they broke up with a boyfriend. Sometimes they didn't do well on a test. Sometimes their parents are mad at them for something. And you have to understand all that. I hope that sometimes when they get on a court, they forget those things and they just play basketball. That's not to say that there's never a practice where it's, things aren't going well. I'll tell them that. I really try not to yell. I try to do it in a quiet way, because I think yelling at people that are yelling or upset just makes it worse.
Yeah, so you'll take a player aside.
Yeah, and if you treat them with respect, that's all young people really want. And if you respect them, they'll respect you back and do what you ask them to do.
So what exactly would you say to a player who is just not playing up to her?
I would call them aside. I would maybe see them during the day at my desk or something like that. And I would say, look, I think you can work a little bit harder. I think you can work better. You're putting in a whole lot of time here. If you don't, think about maybe not playing, or think about the fact that if you worked harder, you'd get more playing time. And don't cheat yourself. And I try to talk with them. Most of I've been very lucky. I really, really have. And I'm not making this up. Every team is different. Every team has a different personality. But 99% of the girls are there because they love the game and they love the program. We pride ourselves in being a family. VGB is our, just our slogan. Not our slogan. Our slogan is hold the rope, which is another thing.
Hold the rope?
Hold the rope is really sort of our motto, that you have to hold the rope, and everybody holds the rope like this, and we have a picture of it. And if one person lets go, then the rope falls. So and who do you want holding the rope with you? You want another team member holding the rope with you. So, and it works, and it's become a family. So Barbara, BJ, who you spoke with, I know that she played for me. She's married. She has 3 kids. Her kids come to practices, and they'll sit and they'll do homework or be on their computers, but the girls love them. And my boys, when they were little, I would bring them up, and they'd do their homework in the office, and they'd play basketball with the girls. And they didn't have sisters, but they had a whole lot of sisters. And I think that adds to it and helps it, especially with this whole family idea. And because of that, I think the girls are more willing to work hard for the whole idea of Irvington girls basketball.
Right. At Irvington High School or any public school, you can't recruit.
No.
Unlike some of the Catholic schools, which will actually go out. And so how do you identify young people coming through the Irvington system that you think might be?
Okay, that's interesting, because I don't know if there was a picture on Twitter of when we won the gold ball, and Mia Mascone and Anya Cleary and Grace Seibel, who were 3 of my players, coached this little girls CYO team. And at the end, they went over, and the girls, they've been coming to all our games. It's great. It's wonderful. And they brought the ball over and had them kiss it. And those girls are all playing ball now. So you get to know them when they're that little.
In the school system.
Right, exactly. And the 8th grade CYO team just won the 8th grade championship, and actually BJ's daughter's on that. And so I think you just see it all evolves, and the kids become interested. There have been times with Pete Warnicki, who coaches, it's a 6th grade team now. He'll bring them up to practice, and we'll go through a couple of drills with them and things like that. So it's not so much recognizing the stars; it's just recognizing the fact that these girls play basketball and love it. We'll go to the rec departments Saturday every year on a Saturday. We go and we'll work with the kids, mostly the middle school age kids, and my girls will run drills with all of them for a day. So it just evolves from that. It's not about stars.
But it sounds almost like a public service thing that you do, working with these younger kids.
Well, they should do public service. Everybody has to give back, and we hopefully do a lot of that. We run a couple of charitable things. We run an autism classic, which the Independent actually has written up on, and I think it's very, very important that they give back and play forward.
You ever have trouble with parents?
Sure, everybody does, but parents have trouble with me too. So it's and again, hopefully I was a parent, and hopefully I remember the way parents feel. I'm sure every parent doesn't love me, but I hope they know that I try to do right by their kids. I think I'm approachable, and I've had parents come and talk to me, and hopefully we work it out. But that's part. But the Irvington parents have been great. I have to be very honest with you, and again, I'm not making that up. They open their homes to our team and they're very, very supportive. They've been incredible this year. just being so. They just all went out and bought shirts for the girls with all the rope on the back of it, actually. So yeah, parents are parents, and they're, you know, I think it's in anything that you do. There are times when people aren't happy with the way you do, and hopefully they come and let me know. And I listen. Hopefully I listen.
Yeah. You've got I believe you have the daughter of the school board president playing on
I
your
do,
team.
I do, and she's a great girl. And that's a very good example. She works very, very, very hard. She's had some health issues this year. She's had some injuries. She had some asthma problems also. But she comes and works hard and never complains. And Mike Hanna has been great. And he doesn't say, "Hey, why isn't Kate playing?"
Right.
And so that's a very good example. Yeah. I also have 2 girls on my team right now whose mothers both played for me, and played on the same team.
I was going to ask you that.
I have a lot of that.
Mia Mascone.
That's what happens when you get older. Mia Mascone and Katie LeBoon.
Yeah.
And their mothers actually played together.
Right. Did Sarah play for you?
Sarah played for me. Sarah was in my son Chris's class, and very good. You know, we're all good friends. But Sarah and Tara played on the same team, and actually were on the team that won the first sectional championship in 1984.
Huh.
Right. So
and
Sarah's
married to a basketball player who played at St. Lawrence.
And who, fortunately, Katie got her height from, not Sarah, because Sarah's about 5'2" and beautiful, but Rich is about 6'7".
Yes.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I had the misfortune of standing behind him in church last weekend.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. But yeah, that's another example of how fortunate I have been. You know, and the whole thing started. And I have to bring this in. My husband was so supportive in times that it wasn't so neat to have your wife coaching basketball, or even when I was in college and played, you know, he would come and watch me play because we dated way back. He would come and like his fraternity brothers would say, "Well, why are you going to a basketball game when there's a fraternity party?" And he said, "Because it's fun. I want to watch it." So, and he was totally supportive all through. You know, he took care of the kids. We went to he did the book at all my games, and without that, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. So I think that's really, really key too. So he knew all these girls also. They tortured him at times. My first team tortured him in a very, very good way.
Over the years, are there particular players who stand out that you remember as, for one reason or another?
I think there are a lot of, you know, to single anybody. I think that the girls that you're, like right now, this group of girls, it's a whole different personality than the team last year. I love them, and right now they're the best team to me. Last year's team was like it was a core four seniors that graduated, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the best team ever. My first team really got me my job because I had coached them as CYO, and the high school coach left, and they went to Harold Mazzaris, who was the athletic director at the time, and said, "Hey, we have somebody we think could coach," and that's how I got my job. I go to I went to all their weddings. I've been to their kids' weddings. Their daughters are now coaching, and one of their daughters coached tennis with me. So, it's to have one. It's hard. It's very, very hard. But if I went through each team, there would be kids that would stick out, but they all stick out.
And a number over the years have gone on to play some pretty good college basketball. As well.
I've had kids play at St. Bonaventure's, at Hartford, at I'm trying to think, Marist, at New Hampshire, at Amherst, at Trinity. The woman you spoke to was an All-American. She was an All-American, but she was, more importantly, academic All-American also. And that's really important.
That's a NESCAC school. I'm a product of NESCAC.
Which is a great education. Lexi Martin had the highest GPA of anybody in the Patriot League when she was a junior at Lehigh. So it's Marley Giddens went to Amherst and played on a national championship team there. So it's terrific. I have Lindsay Halpin, who graduated 2 years ago, is playing at Geneseo. Kelly Dagan, who graduated last year, is playing at Plattsburgh. So yeah, it's great.
She's playing where? I'm sorry.
At Plattsburgh.
They have a pretty good program.
They do have a pretty, they do. And a lot of them go D3 or D2. Some have gone D1. They have to get their education, and hopefully, they learn through sports that there are things that are very important, and you just have to keep plugging away.
You have some players now who are going off. Probably by now they've committed to schools.
Well, I have 2 players that have committed not for basketball. Mia Mascone actually has committed to Brown to play lacrosse, and Miranda Farman is going to play soccer at UPenn. So, and Abby Conklin, who's a junior, has been given some offers to different basketball schools. Grace Thibault was offered a scholarship to Iona recently, but she's a lot of Ivy Leagues looking at, and I'm sure some of the other girls will also. Yeah, but Tara Fitzpatrick, for example, she played some basketball at Penn, and so this is sort of a second generation there.
I didn't realize Tara played at that.
She ran track.
Yeah, she's not a particularly tall woman.
No. No, you don't have to be tall. Lisa Friedlander and Janice Bochicchio, I don't know if you know the Bochicchios, were 2 point guards who were incredible. Riley Harrington, who just is coaching at Tappan Zee, and they just won the sectional championship. None of them were more than 5'1", and they were among the best point guards in New York State at the times that they played. So height's not really the biggest part, you know. Yeah. It's heart and just knowing the game and loving the game and working hard.
But do you have a little height this year?
This year I have more height than maybe I've had in 43 years, to tell you the truth. I do. I have 3 girls that are over 5'11", and Grace Thibault is over 6'2", and Katie LeBoon's 6'1". So it's nice to have an inside-outside game. It's fun. And I'm tall, obviously. Yeah. And to coach someone tall is a little bit different for me now. It's it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm not too sure I can do this, because I think when you haven't done it yourself, you study the guard positions a little bit more because you haven't done it yourself, and the other comes a little bit more naturally to you. So it's a little different, but fun.
What do you say to the girls in a big loss? I mean, where they really got clobbered? You probably haven't had too many of those.
Well, sure, and I've had some losses that have been very, very hard to take.
Yeah.
You know, I really, really try to stay positive with it and try to say, yeah, it's funny. I remember there was a game we played Wyandanch, and this was after sectionals, and after the game, we lost by about 20, and they were crying like crazy in the locker room afterwards. And I said, "Why are you crying? You know, this team has 3 All-Americans on the team, and you did the best you could. You played them hard. You never quit." You said, and one of the girls says, "Beast out." She's now a doctor. And she said, because it's over. And I hope that's the way they do. I never want to yell at them for losing. I would yell at them if they lost, if they yelled at their teammates, or if they didn't show class on the court with the other team. But they don't want to lose. It's not, I'll point out what they did wrong, but they don't want to lose. I probably would be angry at myself because I didn't show them, and there's some teams that just are better. Right? That happens in life. My husband used to say there's always somebody that's better than you are, but that doesn't mean that you're not, that you're not good.
I had the misfortune of playing hockey against Cornell when they were so much better. It was so
we
good. Shouldn't have been on the ice.
Right. Right.
But you recognize.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And you have to do that.
Yeah. Have you ever had somebody where you had to pull them from a game completely because they just were not playing up to their...
if somebody's not playing up to their potential or playing with that bad attitude. Bad attitude, I will sit. Yeah, I'll pull them up and we'll talk to them. Yeah. Just one of my assistants will do it, or I'll do it and say, "Look, you can't behave." Oh yeah, I will definitely pull them. Yeah, it's the same thing with social media today. I think it's so important that any team or young people don't go on social media and knock other teams, or you always have to have class, and I think that we preach that pretty much, and I think my girls adhere to that pretty much. If you don't do that, you're not going to succeed in anything in life. You're not going to. It's. I think it's really, really important.
But how do you monitor that? I mean, you don't.
Well,
go
you
on
can't.
Do you
well,
go on Facebook. And
I'm not. I don't have Facebook, and I refuse to. Maybe it's a protection. You hear about it. You hear about it, and you hear about it from they'll talk about other teams that say stuff, and they'll get angry, and I'll see. Do you want this? Do you want such and such a school to be angry at you because you did something like you said something about them or made fun of them or called them a name or something like that. It's just totally classist. I think what happened this week, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, this past week Dobbs Ferry boys were in sectionals along with us at Pace, and the Rivertowns United. And it was at Irvington and Dobbs Ferry. Sid Thibault, who is Grace's brother, who plays on our boys varsity, and a young man from Dobbs Ferry said, "Look, we're not playing each other. We're together. They all know each other. They see each other. They socialize." And they went out and they bought shirts, Rivertowns United, and everybody sat in the stands at Pace and rooted for the Rivertown. So that's really, you know, it gives me chills when I think about it, and that's really, really important, and I think it's what it's about. So hopefully they, you know, they get something out of that and say, yeah, you can be fierce competitors on the court, and then when you get off the court, it's a you know, you can go out and have a Coke or whatever. Well, it's funny because there are some boys in Irvington actually that are dating girls from Briarcliff, and we're arch rivals. But it's great. But it's good, you know. And in fact, there are girls that play AAU with girls from other schools, and during the season they'll go out for dinner with girls from schools that we're going to play, you know, the next week or the next day. And I think that's also very healthy. Very healthy.
Has there been, can you think of instances where there have been bad behavior on the part of other teams, and when that happens on the court, how do you want your girls to react?
I can't think of a whole lot of them, to tell you the truth. But you just pull them, you know, you just say, you know, step back, don't get involved. Let the officials take care of it. I haven't gotten, in all the years, I haven't seen very much of that. Once in a while, you'll see it, but usually the officials will take care of it. And if they don't, you just pull the girls back and say, don't get involved, don't let this get to you. And you know, just stay out of it. And there was an occasion once, this goes back years and years, where one of my girls was hit on the court, and I did run out on the court.
Really?
And I got a T, but that's okay.
Really?
I got a T for running on the court, and I said, you know, it's fine with me. But she, and they were losing, and they were frustrated, and it was bad. And she out and outright hit. But this goes back. This was like in the early '80s, and I did run out on the court, and I would do that again today. But it doesn't really happen.
Take the T for the team.
Yeah, I would take it for that. Take the T. I only have 2 T's in my life, and that's one of them.
What was the other one?
The other one was a ref had been given a hard time by another coach at the previous game, and I had him again. He said, "What didn't you like about me?" And I said, "It wasn't me. It was somebody else." And he made a call from across the court, and I said, "That's ridiculous," and he teed me up. So that's all right.
So he got you confused with another coach? Is that
nah, he just was showing. And then he came over and said, "I have control, right?" And I said, "Yes, you have control." So, but that's okay. Yeah. So
the big rivals, you mentioned Briarcliff. That's a big one. Hastings, is that?
Hastings and Dobbs always, again, because it's and Ardsley, because they're the river towns. So I think anytime we play each other, absolutely. But it's interesting, and maybe Dobbs even more than the other two, because it is so close. The kids are friends afterwards, and again, AAU has something to do with it. So it's fierce rivalry, and there's no doubt about it. You really, really want to beat. You know, and Briarcliff's that way. Sleepy when they were in. It's all the towns that are close by. The rivalries are there, and they're big, and there's no doubt. I remember when my kids played the Dobbs rivalry and the Hastings rivalry, and were huge, and they still are.
Yeah.
But then they end up. You know, kids are very resilient, which is nice. It's good.
Yeah.
Resiliency is great. They do it better than we do.
Yes, they do. That's true.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Right.
Other coaches that you admire in the system that you play against on a regular basis?
Oh, there are a lot of them. Yeah. There are a lot of them. Yeah. I saw again, my high school coach I admired tremendously. There are a lot of coaches. A lot of them have since retired, but. I'm very, very excited because there are a whole lot of young women now that are coming into Section 1, which is the section that we play in, and they're women that played in the section. Riley Harrington, Tara Ryan, who's from Hastings, is coaching. Stephanie Mills is at Dobbs Ferry. She played at Tappan Zee. And I just admire they're raising families, and you know, Stephanie Mills has 3 kids that she'll bring to practice with the way I did. So I admire them.
This interview will not be shown on the air until about after you play Carl Place, which is this Saturday.
That's we
so we will know whatever happens in the future, we'll know about it when people watch the show.
Right.
So good luck.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good luck.